Hi, welcome to Walking Wilder. I'm back. This is an intuitive reading, and let's see what the cards have to say here. I pulled 2 cards for you already. One is the teacher. This is also the Hierophant, but in this deck it's called the teacher. And this is, well, I don't know, weird or whatever, but I made some cards myself at some point, and this one that's called Outcast was kind of spilled out of the pile when I came down to sit down at my workspace here, and then, you know, I put them all back in order and put them over there, and then it fell out again when I was fiddling with the light. So I'm going to take it because I kind of feel like it's saying, hey, I want to be part of this reading. So if this is your reading, you might have had this feeling, or still have this feeling, of kind of being an outcast, not really belonging, feeling like maybe you didn't really fit into the mold of the family that you were born into. There might have been, you know, things or values that you didn't agree with, or, you know, things like that. Or it can be later on in life with friends and co-workers and that kind of thing. But there's this feeling of, I don't really belong. I don't, well, not really don't belong, but I'm not really one of them, kind of thing. And not in a, you know, not in a bad way of feeling like, you know, you're less valuable, or, you know, you're more than they are, or anything like that. It's just kind of like there's them and then there's me, and it's 2 different ways of being in the world, kind of thing. Kind of like, for some of you, I think you have a mission, and you've always known that, even long before you might have been able to name what it was. Yeah, so anyways, let's see what else Spirit has to say. And of course, as always, if this resonates with you, I would really appreciate you giving this video a thumbs up, or subscribing to my channel. Write me a message if you feel called to do so. I love to read messages, and just thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. All right, let's see here. Whoa, okay. I was just going to say, well, they don't really want to talk, but here's potential at the bottom of the deck. Just as I was, that's interesting, because just as I was about to say, oh, they don't really want to talk today, you know, it's kind of like things spilled out. So there might be something in that as well. I kind of feel like whatever happens of weird things in my reading, you know, that's part of it. Sometimes I get disturbed by, you know, my chickens outside the window. Well, it's nighttime now, so they're not up, but, you know, that type of thing. It's like, or some, you know, some alarm goes off somewhere, or whatever it is. So this, that I'm kind of like feeling a hesitation, and then all of a sudden it's like pouring out, you know, with 3 cards here. Unveiling here tells me that either there is something that you're needing to see, or something is about to show up or to unveil itself. This feels to me more like you're seeking something. Perhaps with this teacher, you know, you're looking for something, either a person or a, you know, something new that you're wanting to learn. And it's kind of like you're peeking into it. Just sort of like, well, I don't really know, but, you know, one eye open, the other kind of hidden moonlight. It's like, yeah, I want to pursue this, and then maybe I don't. You know, that kind of like, you know, like the resistance thing. It's like, yeah, I'm wanting to do this, but I'm also like not wanting to do this, if you know, if that makes sense to you. This card talks about cycles. This could have been a returning pattern in your life, that you kind of been gravitating toward what, you know, I feel for most of you is something on your spiritual path, or something on a path that you're wanting to create. It could be like a creative endeavor as well, something that you're, you know, you're wanting to birth into reality. you know, it can either regress or evolve. And it's like you kind of, you've been repeating these cycles. It's like you get all ready to, you know, go do it, start the class, you know, open up the thing, whatever it is for you. And then it's like something stopping you. And I kind of have a feeling that it has to do with this outcast feeling, or this outcast card that came out here. But we'll see. But, you know, it's kind of been a recurring thing. For some of you, maybe through lifetimes. Yeah, you know, there's, with this card here, there's, I don't know, this gives me this vibe of lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. There's this potential, and it's kind of like it gets to, you know, right here, but then it's like it's ripe, it's ready, you know, it's like ready to, I don't know, evolve or something, and then it's like it just doesn't go any further. So this card talks about devotion, and the two keywords are indifferent and passionate. I don't know, it's like there's this sense of, again, like this duality, like part of you really wants to create something, knows that this is what you came here to do, kind of is getting pulled towards that. You know, it's like it's showing itself again and again and again, you know, like this card just kept, you know, I think it was actually 3 times that it fell off the pile. So, and it's that feeling. It's like, yeah, I'm being pulled towards this, but then something is stopping you from, you know, progressing in this energy here. So, all right, let's see what Spirit has to say here. Spirit, can I know about what's the challenge here? Why is this thing kind of being elusive? And that's, you know, that's exactly what I feel it is. It's kind of like it's there, but it's not really there. Here's the High Priestess. Something about your intuition. But see, in this deck, there's like 2. And to me, this often feels like you and your higher self. It's kind of like you or your guide, you know, however you want to phrase it. But it's like someone is trying to, or, you know, some energy is trying to really pull you into this, kind of like, hey, remember, we came here to do this, you know. But see, here's the cycles, and they kind of like, again, there's something there. So tell me more, Spirit. What is this? Here's the 2 of Pentacles. So for some of you, it might be, you know, about making a choice. There might be, depending on what it is you're wanting to do, there might be a sense of, you know, can I give my time and energy to this and still, you know, create abundance in the world? Can I, you know, can this, I don't know, you know, like, can this be part of the journey? But look here, see how in this card it's like, you know, the infinitive symbol. This is like, this really feels like something that's been going on and on and on and on through lifetimes. And if you don't vibe with the, you know, lifetime thing, that's fine. No hard feelings. You take whatever resonates, you know, for you. But there's something here. And it's kind of like, I know it's, I don't know what it is they're standing with here, but if you look at it, it almost looks like, you know, they are weaponized somehow. It's like, you know, so you're like, well, kind of like in a defensive mode, like, hey, you know. Tell me more, Spirit. What is this? Page of Pentacles. She's very, you know, she's connected here, but there's also this feeling of being somewhat naive, you know, with a baby bear, and she gives me this vibe of just being, you know, in flow with things, just kind of like, how do I want to, you know, just like beginning stages of something. And maybe that's, you know, relevant for some of you, that it's like, you know, you need to do this, But for some of you, there might be an element here of, you are in this lifetime, you're in the beginning stage of this, but you also know, via your higher self, that you actually know all about this because you have, been through. Some of you have repeated this cycle in lifetimes, like kind of waking up to a deep knowledge, a deep kind of knowing. And it's sort of like, passing from this youthful, kind of naive, not in a bad way, just in a, we're just, going with the flow type of thing, to this really, really deep knowledge. And it's like there's this fear that going to that is going to put you in, further into this outcast things, because people are not going to get whatever it is you're wanting to do. That's, at least for some of you. Tell me more about the Page of Pentacles and the High Priestess and this decision, Spirit. Why is this a challenge? Temperance. Yeah. So for some of you, it's a matter of finding the right balance between earthly life and what it is you're wanting to do. If this is, something on your spiritual path, you might be having a difficult time getting these two things to, kind of like get these two worlds to collide, I hear. Well, I don't know. Worlds colliding, is that a good thing? But it's also, see how she's, not manipulating, but managing the energy here. It's kind of like she's working with the energies. She's creating something. She's, balancing things out. So you have whatever it is you need to, work with this. It's kind of like, do you want to pull out all the stops I hear? Do you want, to passionately throw yourself into this? Or do you want to just kind of act indifferently? Here's the Ten of Pentacles. There's a lot of wealth in this. And I don't, mean like monetarily wealth. Well, there might be that too. But, this is no joke. No joke, I hear. There's a lot of wisdom in whatever it is you're wanting to do, in whatever it is you are, remembering here. A lot of wisdom. But see, this is the bear, which kind of, reminds me of this, not that the bear is an outcast, but, they do go into hibernation and they're kind of like wandering around, for periods of time by themselves and doing this I'm wild on my own type of thing. And there's something here with that. I just don't, what is that, Spirit? Why is that important? Why is this outcast feeling not in the, it's not, I don't really feel like other people are putting you in that position. It's more an internal feeling, like a sense of, I don't know that I really belong here. And not, in a way that you don't want to be here. It's just like, you kind of feel out of place. I remember when I was very, very young, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years old, or 5 perhaps, and I was outside and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, this world has become so noisy. There's just so much noise here, way, way, way too much. And really, it wasn't. I mean, this is, to date myself, back in the 60s. And I lived way, 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 way out in the country. Way out. So it was, for all practical purposes, very quiet, for that time. But I just felt like it is way too noisy here. Kind of like I, intuitively remembered a time when airplanes didn't, go by, and I don't know, there was something there. And it's kind of like that sense that I'm getting from this, like you just kind of feel out of place. not like in a I want to run from here screaming kind of way, but in a I just don't vibe with this, 100% type of thing. I don't know. I hope this makes sense, guys. It's a strange energy. It's kind of like there and not there, and yeah. All right. What's the supportive energy here, Spirit? What can we what can we hang on to? Seven of Swords. Can I know more about that? Nine of Pentacles. And Six of Cups. Huh. This is interesting because I was in my head, I was going like, can I have one more? And kind of ignoring the one that flew out here. I saw it, but it was like, it didn't really register. So I was like, I need 3 cards, so give me one more. Here's the Emperor. Which, to me is a card that talks a lot about, being in control of the situation, being in control of your life, having, the overview, I don't know. But there's something here with the Seven of Swords. It's like there's something in your belief about this outcast thing, this whatever it is, that's not entirely true. Whether it's something that someone else has been telling you, or I kind of feel it's like yourself, though, that you're sort of, well, this doesn't sound nice, but you're kind of gaslighting yourself in a way. It's like, see, with the Six of Cups, to me that's, yeah, of course it talks about the past and things, but soul bonds, soul contracts and that type of thing for me as well. It's kind of like you're dragging a story again from previous lives. If you don't vibe with that, just ignore that part. But it's like, I'm sorry, I have a hair in my face. It's like you're dragging a story with you that is somehow not allowing you to see all the possibilities that you by yourself, even if theoretically you actually were an outcast. The nines are, about the things that you can do on, by yourself, creating all this abundance, creating all of, whatever this is for you, bringing something into the world, bringing life into the world with roots, with, flowers. But there's something here about this story. And this is in your supportive energy. Why is the Seven of Swords here, Spirit? What is that? Queen of Wands. Can I have one more? Three of Swords. Ace of Wands. There's some, with the Three of Swords, there's some sort of loss, some sort of heartbreak, some sort of pain here that's attached to this. And of course that, especially if it's, kind of like an unconscious thing, which I think it is for some of you at least, then, that can kind of stop you without you really knowing that that's what's stopping you. It's like, well, we're This is very interesting because it's kind of like I keep losing, the thread in this, and it's like right there. But then when I'm, trying to find the words for it, it just kind of keeps, now I'm seeing like a ball of yarn kind of like rolling itself back, which, it's kind of like whatever this is, it's a very deep thing that doesn't want to be revealed. It's like, no, we're not used. And see in this card how this, kind of looks like a big ball of yarn. And then the swords are kind of keeping it together. It's like stories that either you are telling yourself or you intuitively know or someone else is telling you, is kind of like keeping this whole thing stuck so that you can't really, unwild the story or unroll the story, whatever it's called. And this is something that's based in the past, some sort of pattern, a karmic contract behind, something like that. Here's the Hanged Man, the need for seeing something from a different perspective. I need something else here, Spirit, because this is kind of Two of Coins. Again, there's something here about having to make a choice. Something about balance. Something about, Ace of Cups is at the bottom. But this is, about your stability, about your ability to kind of, create a balanced life, create something that's stable, that's, has a good foundation, that has potential to, grow into something really stable, really beautiful, really... Well, no. Let's see here. Can I have one more of these? These are... I like the images on these, but they're horrible at shoveling. They're just too big. So I don't use them very often, which is kind of a shame. The Wheel of Fortune. We'll take this one too. And Queen of Coins. Yeah. This really, really has to do with you manifesting your best life, with you bringing something into life that just feels stable. For some of you, it's like you have to teach yourself again, I don't know where that came from, how to be the Queen of Coins. How to not feel like an outcast, to feel like I have something to offer. I have created this. This has value. This is me being valuable. This is my life. Whatever it is that I am doing has value. And it's like with this Wheel of Fortune, it's like it's time for something to just, move, to be done with the old ways, to create something new. There's something here that needs to shift, and there was a Hangman as well. Can I have one card from here, Spirit? We can never just have one card. Oh, Power and might, be free from judgment. Yeah, there's something about freeing yourself from whatever it is you're feeling judges you, not judges you, but whatever this feeling is that put you in this outcast thing. There's something in looking at that, figuring out where does that come from? Why do I feel like that? I see like someone pulling a curtain aside, and it's like, like revealing some sort of truth that's been hidden. I'm sorry, my English is horrible today. With this card here, broaden your horizon. It's time to walk through a new door. See things from a different, view, something. For some of you, it's about seeing your magic as a positive thing. Some of you have kind of felt like, well, I am this outcast because, you know, I see things, or, you know, I feel things very deeply, or I, you know, whatever it is that you can do that people around you are just not getting. And you've seen it as a negative thing. And Spirit is like, no, this is a gift. Which, you know, it is. But it also can feel kind of limiting if you feel like it's, you know, separating you from other people in a way. It says broaden your horizon here. There's something about that. The crone energy, this wisdom, this old wisdom. You know, I kept saying lifetimes. This is, yeah, it has to do with, you know, life lived and learned and all of that, but it's also connecting to this old wisdom that you know, have carried with you for many years and are kind of making friends with again, I hear. This card is lying at the bottom of the deck here, relationships. I don't feel like it's a relationship outside of yourself. I feel this has to do with your relationship with yourself and, oh, okay. And with your destiny, which was underneath that card. This has to do with you making peace with that you, in some ways, are an outcast, in the sense that you might feel things on a deeper level than most people. You might know things intuitively that most people don't. And yeah, that does, you know, that can be difficult. But there's also, you know, a reason for that. Yeah, pay attention here, you know, connect with your intuition. There's something you're supposed to do with all of this, you know, teach perhaps. Can we know something about that, Spirit? Ace of Wands. Yeah, you know, the Wands for me is a lot about learning. And this is like, I get this vibe of showing others the way, you know, of kind of, well, of leading the way too, you know, of looking for wisdom, for knowledge, for bringing things into the world. Here's the sun, which, you know, of course can be about illuminating things as well, bringing things into the light for people to see, to understand, to connect with. That type of thing. Can we have some advice here, Spirit? There's the devil. Can we have some advice here? What's the advice, Spirit? Ace of Pentacles. It's a lot of pentacles in this. Page of Cups here. Seven of Wands. Yeah, you know, I feel this devil energy, you know, can be about fear, about, you know, illusions, delusions, that type of thing. And here's the Seven of Wands, which is about your boundaries. I feel this is like Spirit saying, hey, it's time to let go of that. Put up some healthy boundaries. You know, let go of that feeling of not being good enough, of not being part of something, the fear of showing the world who you are. Because here is the Ace of Pentacles. You know, you have the ability to build something on a really strong foundation here that has great value for you and for people around you. Many of you are teachers here of some sort, and you really have something valuable to teach the world, but you've got to let go of that fear of, you know, being seen as someone, you know, who is an outcast. And you know, if you vibe with, you know, the previous life things, some of you might have been an outcast in the previous life. You've had this knowledge with you for many lifetimes. And there's been times, well, we all know that, you know, where this has not been a safe way to be in the world. So there might be, you know, some fear of that, of kind of like intuitively feeling like, well, I can't really be who I am, because even though I know, you know, this is my destiny, I just intuitively remember, you know, vaguely remember, it's like it's out here somewhere, that can lead to something not so good. So, you know, there's that. Can I have a closing card here, Spirit? And again, if this resonates with you, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, or give it a thumbs up, write me a comment. Two of Swords. Yeah, you know, you have to make a decision here. Do I want to keep myself hidden, stuck, not really showing the world who I am? Or do I want to, you know, make the choice to embrace whatever gifts it is that you have, whatever it is that you have to give to the world? And here's the Strength card. So Spirit is like, we got your back. This is your destiny. Literally, it says destiny, you know. So, yeah. I hope this makes sense for whoever is meant to find this. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Big love.